You are the average of the 5 people around you, the 5 vendors around you, the 5 friends around you, the 5 employees around you. So these circles, so if you have this cheesy Vinny accountant and he's kind of goofing around and makes some mistakes here and there, that's a perception of your business in the world. And it may come out when you deliver an investor report and there's some stupid error in it, and you can trace it back to that decision early on to hire Vinny. So you really have to be as diligent hiring your lawyer, hiring your accountant, hiring your partner, hiring your co-founder, even your angels. Everyone has to be at the same level if you really want to be excellent. If you're okay with mediocrity, then skimp. But if you want to dominate and win, then don't compromise. And don't compromise in anything that you do. And the second you realize you've made a compromise, if it's an accident, you fix it. I had other images in here, but so when you get started, it's a street fight. There's really no other way to describe it. There's some elation moments, much like a street fight, but for the most part, you're getting pummeled in the face. And I generally, there's really no other way to say it, but fake it till you make it. That really has to be the motto. I mean, no one here likely has the accurate experience to do what they're doing. I mean, maybe Aaron, but he wants to do other things. He may not have any experience in. I don't know if you have experience to run into it, but we'll let you argue that later on. But the reality is you fake it, and then you build that experience base, and then you're good at it. And I'll give you, the build it backwards is a way. So one of the best lines I've ever heard is from a friend of mine who built a $5 billion public company from nothing. He was like a scrappy, he studied dance in college. I mean, what the fuck? And he runs this $5 billion public company. I'm like, yeah, your dance degree really helped a lot there. But what he said to me was like, look, I envision myself running an awesome company in the space, right? I just pictured it in my mind. I knew exactly what it looked like, right? I saw myself, I saw what the office looked like, I saw how I interacted with people, the type of people in my company, and then I sort of projected that back to, and what type of person was I when I ran that business, right? And then I made myself into that person today, figured out what the milestones to that destination were, and as I crossed them, I celebrated them publicly. And I think it's the best piece of advice for an entrepreneur that you can give. If you don't know, at least in your mind, where you want to end up, I promise you, you will not get there, right? And you won't know what milestones to celebrate. You won't know the path to get there. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to think you're going to go this way and you're going to end up going that way. And you might even think you're getting here and you're going to end up going there. But you have to have that idea. You have to have that vision of you being awesome and get to that destination and project that back to where you are today. And maybe you don't have a secretary and even an office or anything like that, but you've got to convey the awesomeness of where you want to be in your actions today, or mark my words, you'll never get there. So a couple last points. This one's pretty easy. Basically, pretty much every decision you make early on is either upward and to the right, mediocrity, or death. It's like, do I get a cleaning service? Upward and to the right, mediocrity, and death. I mean, it's like literally sometimes as small as things like that. So you should sweat the small stuff. And I'm serious about not compromising, but that doesn't mean that you need to, a cleaning service or not cleaning service, you sweat the impact on the cash flow, not like other issues. But truly, every decision when you're at that early stage is meaningful. And this is actually the Gartner hype curve. What's interesting is it applies to markets and it applies to companies. So sort of like that previous chart with the financing and IPO, like in a company, you're always going through these cycles where at one minute, you're like, we rock! We just won this big deal! And then they're like, here are the requirements. It's like, oh, Jesus, this really sucks. And then you're like, we survived the deal. Like, and then it sort of makes money. So you got to know your dips. You got to name them. You got to have some foresight to see that they're coming, and you got to get the team aware, because you don't want to get hit with a big surprise. You know, a lot of CEOs and a lot of founders are the gung-ho, no, it's going to be great, it's going to be great. Listen, it's not going to be great. And in fact, the more honest you are with yourself and your team, the better prepared you will be to succeed. So identify the coming problems, name them, make your team aware of them, and try and overcome. So OPM, I can talk a lot about that. I mean, it feels great to spend, payback is a bitch. You guys are, you know, the weird thing is I could tell you all this stuff about financing, and I promise you the following statement will be true. In 3 months from now, everything I said will be irrelevant. There is the fastest pace of change in private company finance in the history of entrepreneurship, period. You are seeing massive amounts of decline in venture investing due to a massive amount of investment into the class. You're seeing a scaling up of a bubble in angel investing. It's certainly frothy and likely a bubble. You're seeing shifts in terms and structures and deal structures. So in some ways, it's a great way to go out. It's a great time to go out and raise money. But anything you do today will not continue and persist in even 3 months from now. I promise that the world will be a radically different place. So I caution you that if you're, how many people here need to raise money? All right, I'm going to tear up some founders. I know a lot about this subject. Why don't we save that for Q&A? And on that note, maybe we should jump into some. Who wants to volunteer?
We have some names. We had Sam volunteered this year. Sam.